I'm Abraham, 33 years old. So my testimony starts in the beginning when I grew up. I come from a Mexican family, Mexican background, and so I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church, and it was very one way. It felt very, it was faith by religion. You do this, you'll get this at the end. I lived the next chapter of my life away from faith and spirituality. Then I met someone who introduced me to the truth. And I didn't know I was being introduced to the actual truth until I started speaking to her, and she started telling me about a very difficult time she had gone through. When she presented her life to me, she was like, I went through this very traumatic experience, and I wouldn't have gone through it if it wasn't for God, for the Lord. So that took me back a little bit, because I was like, wow, she's giving the credit to the Lord, where before everybody I would have met would have just given the credit to themselves. And she told me about this God who she had a relationship with, and how her salvation was through grace and grace alone, and not about what you did. And I was like, okay, this is like very 180 from what I knew about Christianity. So it definitely made me lean into it. And so I started attending the village with her, and I started hearing, gospel-driven truth. But I had never even opened the Bible. I knew an idea of who Jesus was, what life he had lived, but I had no idea what it actually was. And so I started reading it, and I started learning about him, and just seeing how God's faithfulness and kindness and his everything is just all throughout the Bible. And so that started just working in me little by little. And then it came to a moment in my life where, for the first 33 years of my life, all I wanted to do was control my life, give myself the credit, make all the decisions for me. It just changed everything in me. At that moment, the Holy Spirit was indwelled in me, and I knew that if I just surrendered my life to him, he would guide me, and he would be faithful, as he had been faithful. I just didn't know it. I have 2 children, and I started looking at the way I parent them and the way I am a father to them just differently. I was like, you know what my responsibility here is to introduce them to the same Lord that I know. And so that's what drives me now, is to live my life for him, not for what he'll give me, because he's already given me so much. He sent his only son to this earth as a sacrifice for us to come to him. It's all it takes is just one step. And, this too can happen for you, right? Your salvation is there, it's waiting for you. And so that's how I want to live my life. And that's kind of been my testimony. And I just, again, so grateful for the Lord, grateful for all he's done, and just want to surrender and live my life for him.